I've recently added Enhanced Autopilot to my 18-month-old Tesla Model Y here, and that gives you some additional features. It gives you automatic lane changing, it gives you navigate on autopilot where it will motorway merge and pull on and off motorway ramps. It gives you automatic parking, auto park, which is brilliant, and it gives you summon. And that's what I'm going to look at in this video. I've done separate videos for each of these new functions. And in this video, I'm just going to look at the summon function. So what summon is a feature where you can use your mobile phone as a remote control and drive the car to you when you're not in it. So in the Tesla app, we've now got this new feature here called summon. And this is then your remote control device, and you can then pull the car out of a parking space or out of a tight garage, and it's really useful for those situations where your car is hemmed in and you can't open the door properly. However, because of our laws in the UK, it is very heavily restricted, and to be honest, most of the time it doesn't really work very well. So I've come to a quiet corner of a car park where there aren't too many people around, and let's just show you how this works. So as you can see, it's quiet here. So let's try the most basic function, and that is just to get the car to move forward or backwards. So imagine I'm parked between two cars and it's all a bit too tight to squeeze in and open the door. So I can simply press these two arrows at the bottom of the screen to make the car go forward or backwards. So in this case, I can't go backwards, I'm just going to go forward. So I push and hold that. The lights are now flashing, and as you can see, the car is going forward, and it will keep going forward all the time I'm holding that button. And as soon as I release that button, the car's going to stop, like now. So that's going to be really handy if you're trying to pull it out of a tight parking space or out of a garage. So let's see if I can just move it back. So I'll push and hold the back button, the car's woken up, and that is now reversing back into that space until I release the button. There. And that basic functionality of summon, where you can just make the car go forward and backwards while you hold the button, does actually work very well and can be quite handy. But it's these other functions at the top of the screen, the sort of smarter functions as it were, which really don't work in the UK. And Tesla call this actual smart summon. And in the States, it works just brilliantly. I could be standing right down near that burger van there and the car will drive to me. But in the UK, it just doesn't work. So let's just show you the functions in the app. As we can see, we've got a map here where you can see where I'm standing and you can see where the car is. And if you push the top button up there, that is going to make the car drive to where I am. We can push the next button there, and we then got a target. So I could move the target where I want the car to drive to, and theoretically the car will drive to me. The next button turns satellite view on and off. And the final button here is turning off the camera feeds. And in the bottom part of the screen here, we can look out all the cameras of the car in real time, just to make sure it's not going to hit something. So I'm now standing in the fourth bay away from the car, and I would say we're probably about 12 meters away from the car. So I can push the top button to say come to me, and we've now got a come to me button here, so I can push and hold that, and the car should wake up, drive out of the space and drive round to me. But it's now saying stopping as the phone is no longer within 6 meters of the vehicle. So I'm now standing closer and I'm about 6 meters away, probably only 5 meters away. So let's press come to me, and this time it is working. So all the time I'm holding down the button on the screen, the car is navigating, driving out of the space. Hasn't really come to me, it's driven past me, but anyway, it's worked, so I can now get in the car. So let's see if I can do that again, but this time I'm standing behind the car. So let's see whether the car will reverse and come to me. And it's going forward. Is it going to come backwards? No, it says summon complete. So let's try that again and say come to me. So the car should come backwards. And it's not, it's going forward again. No, now it's going to come backwards. Is it? No, it says summon complete. So I've now pulled forward into a parking space and I'm going to try the come to me again. Let me just stand a little bit closer actually. So I'm certainly 6 meters away from the car. So let's say come to me and see whether the car reverses. And it is, and look at that, it's turning the right way this time. That's reversing out of the spot. And that should now drive forward to me. So as you can see, certain times it works brilliantly, but it's now stopping because it says it is no longer 6 meters away, and it also says it's waiting for pedestrian, which of course is me. So let me get out of the way, and now the car starts moving. But of course my location's changed as well, but it's done it. The car has driven to me. However, if I was in the States, I'd be able to stand at the far end of the car park and the car would drive to me. I could probably stand out of view round the other end of the store and the car would navigate round there and come to me. However, in the UK, we have this ridiculous rule that you've got to be 6 meters away from the car. So let's make it a lot more challenging. As you can see, the car's parked there next to another car and we're in this little sub car park here, and I'm going to stand at the entrance here and I'm going to say come to me. So let's see whether that can turn around there and come to me while I'm standing here. And it's saying I'm not 6 meters away, so I certainly am now. So let's say come to me. No, still not working. So let's just go a little bit closer. Try that. Come to me. Car's woken up and it says summon complete. So as you can see, it's really hit and miss whether it's going to work. As you can see on the app, there is a circle which is the radius that it's supposed to work, and if I select the other function where I can put a target, it's very difficult to know where to drop it because I can't zoom into the map any more than it already is. And there's trees here, so it's rather difficult to work out where I can put it. So let's try there and then say go to target, but I'm not really sure where that is. But anyway, it is now working. I think part of the problem is there is quite a delay in the location finding, as it were. So it says waiting for pedestrian. So let me step out of the way. Oh, it's off at quite a speed. Right, there we go. That's worked. But it's times like this where Sentry Mode is useful. You come back to your car and it's really tight in the bay, and this car is sort of touching the white lines, and actually to get the car in there I put it in with Summon. So let's see whether I can take it out with Summon. So I push the front arrow, the car wakes up and it drives forward, so I can now get in the car. So it's times like this it works really well. So the settings in the car that you need to enable to make Summon work is under Autopilot and then ASS, Actual Smart Summon, and you need this on. And you need this on for the smart function, but also the basic summon function of just moving forwards and backwards. I think previously they used to separate it, but anyway, in 2025 in the UK, it is all just now one function. And under customization, we can set a completion sound, we can select a abort sound, and we can set the bumper distance, and it goes from 12 inches up to 48 inches. I've got it set to 12 because I don't mind it getting quite close to things, and it's going to then work better because it is going to get closer to things. And that's it. That's the only settings you have. apart from actually standby mode. So these settings are all about minimizing energy consumption, because Summon does actually use quite a bit of energy while the car is parked up, just like Sentry mode does. So for example, if you go away on a holiday and you leave your car parked at the airport, you will want to turn Summon off. So in here it tells us exactly that, and Summon will work until the battery drops to 20%, just like Sentry mode. We can turn it on and off here, and we can exclude home, work and favourites. So Summon is going to turn off when you're at the most commonly parked up places, again just to preserve energy. So there are times where Summon is going to be very handy. For example, if you come back and your car's hemmed in, just like I was doing just now between those cars over there, and bizarrely that Dacia driver has just driven into this car park where there's all these empty spaces and decided to park between that Kia and that Mazda MX-5 or MX-3, whatever it is. So he's chosen to park in the tightest space there is and then walk away. But anyway, if you came back and your car was parked over there, then Summon is very handy because you can pull it out. But that's only if you've got it turned on in the first place and got it running. If you go to your app and you try to call Summon and it's turned off in the car, you can't turn it on remotely. You've got to get in the car in the first place. So times like that, it's effectively going to be useless, because somehow you've got to squeeze in the car to turn it on, then get out of the car to then pull the car out with the app. So if you leave it running, there's the odd time where it would be very handy, but it is going to consume energy. The Tesla Model Y is actually quite a wide car, and the majority of UK parking spaces just aren't suitable for modern larger vehicles. So Sentry mode is quite handy for just moving it in or out of a tight parking space. So for that reason, I am going to occasionally use it. And the fatter I get, the more handy that's going to get. Around 94% of the viewers of this channel are not subscribed. I'm sorry to ask, but it would help greatly if you would. Just press the subscribe button. It's free and it shows YouTube you like this vehicle related content. If you want to be notified when new videos are released, click on the bell button also. Thank you. It really helps more than you would imagine. So the final thing I'll just show you is what if you push the wrong button. So as you can see, we're parked up next to the curb and that BT box there. And if I try to go backwards, it won't drive into anything. Saying that, look, it's going backwards. Anyway, it is now stopped. So it knows if it's going to hit something, so it's not going to go the wrong way. So let's just show you that. So I'll now go forward. And it's going forward just fine. So I'll now stop. Let's just go backwards and let it stop when it wants to stop. I've still got my hand on the button and it's put the handbrake and stopped just fine. So it is nice and safe to use around other vehicles and objects. So finally, there's just one other thing I'll mention, which is that message at the top of the screen, pre-trip cameras unavailable. So I've been using Summon while I've been filming this, and that has come up, and it seems that there is a limit to the amount of data that you can use, and that's now disabled the imagery at the bottom of the screen, so I cannot see out of the cameras on the car. But it doesn't stop any functionality of Summon. So overall, Summon is a bit hit and miss in the UK. You have to stand very close to the car. It says 6 meters, but in reality, a lot of the time that has to be more like 3 or 2 meters. And if you start using Summon and you're standing too far away from the car, it seems to take quite a long time to get your new location. So sometimes just walking up to the car doesn't make it work. It's a bit slow, and it also is very hit and miss. But today, in this quiet corner of a Wix car park, it's actually worked very well, and it's worked pretty much every time I've asked it to do something, which is better than I found that it normally performs. But you've just got to accept, in the UK, you've got to be standing very close to the car for Summon to work, and it's certainly not going to work like it does in the States, where you can be standing at the other end of a car park and the car will drive to you. The other thing to note is it doesn't work when you're on the road. You've got to be in a car park or any sort of private land, or getting in and out of your garage. It's going to work, but it won't work while you're actually on the public road. So that will do. If you found this video useful, please do click the thumbs up. That really does help. And if you would like to know more about the Tesla Model Y, in the video description below will be a link to a playlist where you can see other videos I've made on this car, including those other videos on the other functions of Enhanced Autopilot. And if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, also linked below is my referral code where you'll get money off your new car. Okay, I'll see you on the next one.